We are just one day away from finding out who the Republican nominee for the United States Senate race in the state of South Carolina is going to be, following the death of former Senator Lindsey Graham. Darlene Graham, who is his sister, was appointed to this seat, and she has ultimately decided to run for a full term. Now there has been a runoff primary that is set to take place tomorrow evening, and in that primary is going to be the race between Senator Darlene Graham and long-term congressman from the state, Ralph Norman. Now, while all expectations point to Graham winning this primary tomorrow night, there are some concerning things that have happened amongst the primary that may carry over into the general election. We're going to talk about that today. If you're interested, you can join my channel as a channel member now for as low as $1.99 a month, and that will give you access to early released videos, as well as a few more perks that you're welcome to check out in the comment or in the description below. And I would appreciate it if you guys check that out if you are interested. Of course, no pressure, but just wanted to let you guys know about that. So, this race for South Carolina Senate is a really, really fascinating race, and it's going to play into who President Trump endorses, but also what happens when that carries over to the general election, because Darlene Graham is not this, polished politician. She made that clear in the debate, in fact. She had a gaffe, to say the least. She had a moment that was not well received across the state of South Carolina, across news outlets. A lot of people caught this hot mic moment in the debate where she said that she was not informed on national security, but that she did support the military. Being completely and totally honest with the people at home, she was honest, and she told everyone that she was not informed, that she did not know the question, essentially, on this question about China and the South China Sea and Taiwan. It was a big moment in this debate, and following it, Donald Trump headed to the state of South Carolina, to Myrtle Beach, to campaign for Darlene Graham, to try and fix this, to try and get this mess situated out, because there is a reason that Donald Trump has had two opportunities to endorse Ralph Norman and ultimately has decided not to. Those circle back to the 2024 United States presidential election, when Ralph Norman was a United States representative who endorsed Nikki Haley to be president before the primary, and of course endorsed Trump afterwards, after Haley withdrew. But ultimately, leading up to the primary, Ralph Norman had endorsed former South Carolina governor and ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, and that has only continued this fuel that Donald Trump does not like Ralph Norman. If we're being completely honest and vocal here, that's just the truth here. I mean, a lot of it boils down to this campaign when he was running for president, and he did not like the fact that Ralph Norman did not endorse him, and it led to him ultimately choosing to not endorse him in return, which has led Ralph Norman to not be able to win statewide across the state of South Carolina. So if we go over to Polymarket betting odds, currently Darlene Graham is sitting at about a 70% chance at winning tomorrow evening, and Ralph Norman sitting at about a 30% chance at winning. So the race seems pretty clear where it's heading, at least. Darlene Graham seems like the clear favorite to win, but I will remind you that in the past couple of days, this race has really tightened up to be the most competitive we've seen it this cycle, really. I mean, the last time we really seen it like this was, I guess, right before the original primary. Darlene Graham, of course, was still expected to be the top ticket, or the top runner on the original first ballot ticket, but ultimately, after that happened, Darlene Graham was, pretty expected to win, 87%. And then this debate gaffe has happened, and it slimmed up a little bit. But in the past couple of days, it's starting to extend. Darlene Graham has started to extend her lead a bit more as well. It's not necessarily surprising across the state of South Carolina. Another important thing I wanted to point out too was the runoff. A race to begin with, the race that led to the runoff, where Darlene Graham and Ralph Norman were the two candidates that advanced. Of course, Darlene Graham's receiving almost 33% of the vote, and Ralph Norman about 24.5%. Russell Fry came in third place with about about 20% of the vote overall in the state of South Carolina. And this has been really important and has led to a lot of questions on how this race may shape out. But ultimately, the answer is that it's very likely that Darlene Graham wins tomorrow night. But one other thing I wanted to point out that's interesting about the governor's race that kind of plays into this is that in the first round of the primary for the governor's race, Pamela Evitt was endorsed by Donald Trump, the lieutenant governor from the state of South Carolina. And then in the runoff race, it was between Pamela Evitt and Attorney General from the state, Alan Wilson. And ultimately, Trump endorsed both. So after that, after the original first round primary, when it advanced to the runoff, Donald Trump actually co-endorsed with Wilson, co-endorsed Pamela Evitt and Wilson. And this was because Wilson started to receive a fair shot at winning, and Donald Trump didn't want to be tied to the fact that he could lose another primary race. So he ultimately decided to endorse both candidates. A little odd in a primary that's only between two, but that is what the president decided to do, and Donald Trump co-endorsed Wilson with Evitt in that primary race. But that's not happened here in this race for the Senate seat across the state of South Carolina. Donald Trump has only endorsed Darlene Graham, and Ralph Norman has not received that endorsement. But ultimately, this implication of who's decided tomorrow night has the implication of moving on to the November election and how that could shape out. I know some people are concerned that perhaps, the Senate could be in play and the Senate seat in South Carolina could be in play. And while I don't necessarily agree with that, I think that depending on who this candidate is, it definitely has a implication on the race overall. Now, if you go to the general election prediction polling, just hypothetical polling, Ralph Norman and Annie Andrews are virtually tied in a public policy polling average, but I actually don't agree with this completely. I actually think it's quite flawed. But nonetheless, we have no polling with Darlene Graham and Annie Andrews, and the concern, I think, for Republicans could be that Darlene Graham maybe isn't the best candidate to face Annie Andrews. And I mean that in no disrespect to Darlene Graham. She's not been doing the politics thing very long, and she's new to it. But overall, I mean, these debate moments and stuff, they are key moments that can be used in a general election race that Annie Andrews will not hesitate to capitalize on. And I'm sure that if she wins the primary tomorrow night, we are going to see Annie Andrews try and capitalize on this idea that Darlene Graham just isn't able to serve, that she's just not got the experience to serve, that she just doesn't know enough about the issues. And it's something that, you really can fairly ask, because up until, July of 2026, a lot of us didn't really know even who Darlene Graham was. I mean, maybe we had heard of her just because she was the sister of Lindsey Graham, but we didn't know much about her other than that. And since then, she's now expected to be holding one of the highest positions in South Carolina government on the United States Senate level. That's a question that Republicans are going to have to ask, is does it impact their ability to win in November? While I don't necessarily think that, I do think that it has implications on this race, and maybe even implications on down ballot races across the state of South Carolina. So with that all said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys believe, as well as the polling indicates and as well as Polymarket suggests, that Darlene Graham is on track to be the Republican nominee tomorrow, or do you guys disagree with some of this polling? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I love reading through your thoughts and opinions and seeing where you guys stand on these races as well. If you haven't already, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you can become a channel member and get early content and a few other perks that you're welcome to check out down below. If you want to do that, you are welcome to do that as well. And with that said, thank you guys again so much for watching. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.